The newest addition to Ferrari's lineup has finally just debuted with a twin turbocharged hybrid V6. This car puts out unbelievably impressive performance numbers, so with that out of the way, let's jump right into it. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe down below to help me reach my goal of 2,000 subscribers before the end of 2021. Alright, now here's everything you need to know about the new Ferrari 296 GTB. First of all, the combustion engine is a 120-degree angled 2.9-liter twin turbocharged V6, which by itself makes 654 horsepower. Then it has a 7.45 kilowatt-hour battery that boosts the power up to a crazy 819 horsepower and 546 pound-feet of torque. And since this car is a hybrid, it can drive using only electric power, and it can drive with a range of up to 16 miles. Its turbochargers are all new and they spin up to 180,000 RPM, and the combustion chamber is borrowed from the SF90 Stradale. Even though this is a turbocharged engine, it has absolutely no turbo lag at all. If you take a look back at the revealing video and some interior shots, you can see that it revs up to 8,500 RPM, which is just incredible, especially for a turbocharged V6 engine, and it's so incredible just like the sound. It produces over 100 horsepower more than the Ferrari F8, and speaking of the F8, the 296 GTB isn't the successor to the Ferrari F8, which is just such a relief for me because I don't want the successor of a V8 Ferrari to be a V6 Ferrari. The 296 GTB won't replace any model in Ferrari's lineup. This is an entirely new segment in Ferrari's lineup, although it seems like Ferrari is just making a little bit too many models right now. Power is driven through an 8-speed dual clutch transmission, and the same DCT is in the SF90, Portofino M, and the Roma. It's capable of doing 0 to 60 miles an hour in 2.9 seconds, 0 to 124 miles an hour in 7.3 seconds, and it'll hit a top speed of 205 miles per hour. This car got the name 296 GTB from its engine displacement being 2.9 liters, which represents the first two letters in its name. The number 6 in the name represents the car being a 6-cylinder, and altogether that creates the name 296 GTB. The last time we saw the name GTB on a Ferrari was back in 2015 when Ferrari debuted the successor to the Ferrari 458, which was the 488 GTB. This car can be optioned with an Assetto Fiorano package, and that gives you much more carbon fiber throughout the entire car, a Lexan rear window, Michelin Sport Cup 2R tires, and a livery that is dedicated to the 250 Le Mans. And with the Assetto Fiorano package, that brings the weight to just 3,241 pounds, although it is 77 pounds heavier than the Ferrari F8 Tributo. But the 296 GTB is a much smaller car and has a much shorter wheelbase than the Ferrari F8 Tributo, which makes it feel lighter and more nimble. It also does rev higher than the F8, but one more quick little note, the same engine that is in the 296 GTB could actually be an engine option for the Ferrari PUROSANGUE SUV. Also, I recommend checking out my video about everything we know so far about the PUROSANGUE SUV. I really recommend checking it out. There will be a link for it down in the description below. Alright, now we are going to jump right into the styling elements. So first off, we have a front view of the 296 GTB. Now I have mixed feelings about the styling of this car. Now the front lip of it, or the front splitter if you prefer that, looks a little bit too messy. They said it was a very simple design and very clean, but then you have this little jagged sort of area under there. I don't know what that does. That part just looks a little bit unnecessary, and we could just redesign that easily. If you want to stay tuned for a video of that, just let me know down in the comments below. So we have the DRLs, or daytime running lights, actually separated from the actual headlight itself, and the DRLs are just more closer to the front of the hood, and right under the DRLs you have a little intake area, and I'm 99% sure that is for the brake cooling. But taking a look at the actual headlights, it looks kind of weird, to be honest. I mean, overall it does look really good, but it does have a very clean hood, very sleek in the front. Alright, now comes the rear. Now we do have newer redesigned taillights for this. It looks very similar to the Roma. Now actually in Ferraris you have 4 taillights normally, or just 2 on each side. The Roma is the least Ferrari that a Ferrari would be, but this honestly represents exactly that because this doesn't even have 4 taillights anymore. They did disguise it to make it look like it does, but it just doesn't really. But then you can see a central exhaust pipe, and then you can see some intakes down there. I really like the rear of this. The exhaust placement also I'm a really big fan of. The SF90 just looks like it was an afterthought. but this looks like it was meant to be there. And you also do have a pretty large rear diffuser. Here we have a side view. Now you have a very strong shoulder line that looks super good, but then it has this sort of F430 sort of look on the intake. Everything just looks super clean on this. Not a biggest fan of the design again, but it does look good. This was meant to be a baby SF90, and it does look like a baby SF90. Now here's a rear quarter view of it. You can sort of see the engine bay down there, and speaking of engine bay, here is the engine. Now honestly, I wish there was more red accents around the engine bay, because that's what Ferrari is known as, those red accents everywhere inside the engine bay. It just looks so beautiful, but with this it's mostly like metal and silver sort of stuff. Now here we have an interior shot, and this looks basically identical to the Ferrari SF90. You have the same sort of steering wheel right here, and again it revs to 8,500 RPM, a truly incredible number for a V6 twin turbo hybrid. But now we're going to take a quick look at the Assetto Fiorano 296 GTB. Here is the front view of it, here's a rear view of it, here's a quarter view of it, and here's a quarter rear view of it. And then here's the real engine bay of the 296. It just needs more red. Alright, but that is basically it for today's video. Tell me what you think down in the comments below about the new Ferrari 296 GTB. Again, this is the first V6 Ferrari since the Ferrari Dino from back in the 60s and 70s, and honestly, I think this is a really good step forward for Ferrari. Again, this is a new segment, so it's not replacing any models in Ferrari, thank goodness. At least it's not a fully electric vehicle, because then it would be a problem calling it a real Ferrari. But that is basically it for today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, please give it a like, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and it would help me reach my goal of 2,000 subscribers before the end of 2021. And also, we do have a ton of car content that is coming up, including exciting supercar vlogs. So if you're a car fan like me, you're gonna like this channel. If you loved today's video, I know you'll enjoy some of my other videos, so I recommend you go check them out. But I hope to see you in a future video. Bye for now.